Hi, I'm Ross, lifetime natural bodybuilder, and this is Natural Aesthetics, the YouTube channel dedicated to all things drug-free bodybuilding and strength. So I'm training with John today, another lifetime natural, and we're hitting shoulders and arms. This is the second shoulder and arm session of the week, the day before our rest day on the Sunday. Before I get into the exercises, if I could ask you to consider subscribing to the channel to see more honest, no BS natural bodybuilding videos. I've also got a Q&A coming up soon that I'll do before Christmas. So if you have any questions about anything, then leave them in the comment section below. Alternatively, go to the community tab on my YouTube and you'll find it in the latest post there. You can just leave a question in the comment section. Also check out my Instagram page. The link is in the description box below. And if you do enjoy this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, so the first exercise was an unsupported military press, the seated variation with a barbell. It's an extremely effective shoulder exercise, but very, very humbling. So if you do this, be prepared to lift a little less weight than you might imagine. It's much harder than the standing counterpart, the overhead press, and it's significantly harder than the seated back-supported variation. The reason why is that you're generally going to use less upper chest. It stimulates the shoulders to a greater degree because you can't lean back as much. And that's one thing I would say about the standing overhead press. When I was doing Smolov last year, which gave me really, really good gains on the overhead press, got up to 90 kilos strict. I'll put the link in the description box for that playlist if you want to check that out. One thing I would say is my upper chest became quite developed from that, just from shoulder pressing because I was leaning back so much. So with this variation, you don't get that. It's really mostly all shoulders, which is why it's harder. That was the only exercise where we utilised heavy weights, 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps. I've seen some decent progress on that over the last few weeks. The first session that I did that exercise felt quite uncomfortable indeed, so pretty pleased with the way that exercise is going. Now for the remainder of the session, I guess you could say we took a volume orientated approach, utilised multiple sets, relatively light weights for 10 to 20 reps. And we set up a circuit to start with. We went from lateral raises into frontal raises into bent over raises. Circuit style, 12 reps on each exercise, 10k on the lateral raises, 5k on the front raises, and 10k on the rear delt raises. You don't need to go too heavy on this whatsoever. It's going to be quite painful indeed. So just do your best to push through that fatigue as it accumulates over the course of a set. For anyone that hasn't tried the seated incline front raises that we're demonstrating, then I suggest you give them a go. A far superior alternative to regular standing front raises. Really, really effective, primarily because of the greater range of motion and the position of the hand in relation to the shoulder. You're starting from a much lower position. You're able to stretch the front delt out a lot more. Just feels better, a lot more painful. So really good exercise. So then we move on to some single arm standing press. And I've spoken about pre-exhaustion before, how I really, really rate it. Really, really good technique to utilise. And because of the isolation stuff, the circuits we did 4 rounds of, then this press just feels a lot better. You're not going to be lifting, PB weights, obviously, because you're starting from a fatigued position, but you're able to connect with that muscle just a lot better than if you hadn't done those isolations before. And I think it's really important to sometimes finish on a press even though you're in a fatigued position. You're just kind of in sync with the muscle a lot more. So we move on to arms. We did some GVT, German volume training. The 2 exercises of choice was seated extensions, kind of like a hybrid between a skull crusher and a vertical seated or standing overhead extension. And then the bicep exercise was alternating curl or double grip curl. We kind of mixed it up really depending on how we felt during that set. The weights on the extensions were 10 to 15 kilos and the dumbbells were 10 to then, or 12 rather, to about 20 kilos. Kind of increasing the intensity as we progress through the sets. But the first 4 sets are quite easy, just kind of getting a light pump, getting used to the movements. And this is the second time we've done GVT this week. So that's just with these exercises alone, that's 20 sets on biceps, 20 sets on triceps, not including some of the exercises you're going to watch next, which were spider curls and close grip press. Close grip press, really trying to focus on the triceps, so keeping the elbow as close to the torso as possible, almost mimicking like a push down movement. Really, really good exercise, but something that you need to focus on, I think, rather than just going through the movement, because the chest and front delts will take over all too easy if you're not focusing on the muscle that you want to work. So a nice finisher. We did 3 sets of this. The spider curls, an exercise I've never really done much. John's done them in the past and really recommends them, and they do feel good. I think they're really good for getting the peak contraction at the top, obviously because there's still tension at the top of the movement, whereas when you're doing a normal standing curl, the tension is released at the top because you're no longer fighting gravity, right at the top of the movement. With a spider curl you are. So it's a nice one to kind of focus on that peak contraction as if you're doing like a double bicep pose, really squeezing the bicep head. So the last couple of exercises, we chose kettlebell curl, really good for the forearms, quite difficult. I've done these in the past with heavier weights for grip training where I've just cleaned them up and then held at the top. But this specifically, you're looking to keep the tension on the brachioradialis, try and keep the kettlebell in line with the forearm trajectory. We did 3 sets on that, all drop sets, 12, 10 and then 8 kilos. Finished up with 1 set of 30 reps with a 10 kilo plate for forearms. So kind of quite flexible with the exercises we do, just really looking to get a good pump on these sessions. The first 3 sessions of the week are more rigid and more structured, focusing more on progressive overload. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more. Stay strong.